When a Chinese warship slams into its own Coast Guard cutter in the middle of a chase, it sounds like something out of a movie. On August 11, 2025, something very real and worrying happened near Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea. A Chinese Navy destroyer and a Chinese Coast Guard cutter collided while pursuing a Philippine Coast Guard patrol boat. The collision left the Coast Guard cutter badly damaged and raised serious questions about how tense these waters have become. The Philippine vessel involved was the BRP Suluan, escorting aid to local fishermen near Scarborough Shoal. Scarborough Shoal is a reef claimed by both the Philippines and China, but it lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone as recognized by the 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling. The airborne and maritime boundaries remain disputed. The Chinese ships involved were Coast Guard cutter CCG 3104 and the Chinese Navy destroyer Hull No. 164, identified as the destroyer Guilin. The collision happened when CCG 3104 was chasing BRP Suluan and performing what the Philippines described as a risky maneuver from the starboard quarter of Suluan. Unable to avoid it, the cutter's bow crashed into the destroyer. The bow or forecastle of 3104 was severely crushed, rendering the Coast Guard vessel unseaworthy, according to the Philippine Coast Guard. Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Jay Tariella said, the Chinese Coast Guard vessel CCG 3104 performed a risky maneuver, leading to the impact with the PLA Navy warship. Tariella also said the damage to the cutter's forecastle was so severe it could no longer function properly. The Philippines also reported that they offered medical aid and assistance by radio to the Chinese vessel after the collision, but received no response. China, through spokesperson Gan Yu, confirmed there was a confrontation and said the China Coast Guard took necessary measures, including monitoring, pressing from the outside, blocking and controlling the Philippine vessels to drive them away. Satellite images later showed that the damaged Chinese Coast Guard ship had been moved to the naval base at Yulin in Hainan Island for repairs. The bow was clearly crushed inward by several meters, and tugs were seen alongside it in dry dock. Philippine authorities made clear they did not see Chinese side admit to or respond with any casualty numbers or injuries. The incident matters far beyond just a damaged ship. Scarborough Shoal lies in one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world and is a flashpoint in the broader South China Sea disputes. Multiple countries, including the Philippines, China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, claim parts of those waters. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled that China's sweeping claims under its 9-dash line had no legal basis, but China rejected that ruling. This collision shows how aggressive maneuvers, especially involving military and paramilitary forces, risk miscalculation. Analysis suggests this is part of a pattern of so-called gray zone tactics, where China uses Coast Guard vessels, water cannon, close maneuvers, and military ships without directly firing weapons. These tactics are risky because they can escalate unintentionally, damage property, threaten lives, and provoke diplomatic crises. The fact that a Navy destroyer, not just patrol or Coast Guard ships, was involved marks a higher level of risk. Regionally, this collision could worsen tensions between Manila and Beijing. The Philippines, increasingly aligned with the US, has been pushing back on China's Coast Guard and Navy patrols. If something like this leads to casualties, or if ships sink, it could trigger stronger responses, sanctions, or even US naval involvement under mutual defense treaties. For global maritime law and trade, any disturbance in the South China Sea is alarming. Over 60% of global maritime trade passes through related waters. What the Philippines argues is clear. It was there to protect fishermen in waters it sees as its own, carrying out resupply missions. What China asserts is equally firm, that the Philippines had intruded into China's inherent territory, that it acted unlawfully, and that the Chinese side responded with necessary measures. Neither side has fully acknowledged damage to life or detailed injuries in a confirmed way. In short, this collision is more than a maritime accident. It's a warning. When Coast Guard cutters and Navy destroyers collide while chasing another ship, the risks are huge. Miscalculations are easy, mistakes can spiral, and diplomacy can break down. This episode shows that the contested nature of Scarborough Shoal is not just paperwork, it's a dangerous real-world zone. If you want more clear, timely breakdowns of naval incidents and why they matter to the US and global security, please like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment with what you think the next move should be.